The honourable member from Dufferin-Caledon.
After 9 years of these NDP Liberals, everyone knows taxes are up, costs are up, crime is up, and pretty soon time's going to be up for these corrupt Liberals. We all remember a couple of weeks ago where a brave steelworker confronted the Prime Minister and said taxes are killing him, and he doesn't believe a single word the Prime Minister has to say. And yet, the NDP keeps propping up this unpopular government. Why? Because their leader wants to keep his pension. Why is this NDP Liberal government so intent on raising the carbon tax and reducing workers' pay?
The Honourable Minister for Innovation.
Mr. Speaker, for all the Canadians watching at home, they will know what's up, Mr. Speaker. It's investment in the future of this country, Mr. Speaker. Under this Liberal government, investment is up in decarbonization to make sure that our steel mill would be productive, to make sure that our steel workers would have a job, to make sure that Canada would win in the economy of the 21st century, Mr. Speaker. Canadians know that what's up is to make sure that this government continues, that we make sure that we invest in them, and we build the Canada of the 21st century.
The honourable member from Dufferin-Caledon.
That minister has some nerve to talk about steel. Let me tell you this. I met with steel workers and the steel industry, and they have said if they quadruple the carbon tax like they plan, there will not be a single steel plant left in this country. That's his economic record. That's what he's doing to Canadians. And the carbon tax is not an environmental plan. It's a tax plan that's blowing a $35 billion hole into the Canadian economy every year. Workers are bringing home less. They're paying more. It's time for a change. Why don't they call a carbon tax election and let Canadians decide?
The Honourable Minister for Innovation.
Mr. Speaker, I'm happy to talk not only about steel but about aluminum, Mr. Speaker.
Yes.
Because one thing that Canadian workers know is that when it was time to stand up for them, we stood up for them, Mr. Speaker.
That's
we
right.
just imposed tariff on steel that is coming from China to make sure, Mr. Speaker, that we would protect our industry. We would protect our job. We would protect our future. Mr. Speaker, workers across the nation know that we have their back. We will fight for the industry, and we will always fight for Canada, Mr. Speaker.
Very good.
The honourable member from Stormont-Dundas, South Glengarry.
After 9 years of NDP Liberals, taxes are up, costs are up, crime's up, and time is up. Here's how bad the carbon tax has driven up inflation in food costs in Toronto. The Daily Bread Food Bank says their monthly usage has gone from 60,000 to 350,000 people per month. That's a 480% increase. Pre-COVID, they spent $1.5 million per year on food. Today, $29 million. Their only solution is to quadruple the carbon tax to 61 cents a litre. Instead, why don't we have a carbon tax election so Canadians can decide?
The honourable member for Families, Children and Social Development.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I'm thrilled to have the opportunity once again today to talk about what's up, Mr. Speaker. I'll tell you what's up. Women's participation in the workforce is way up and has reached a record high. New childcare spots are being built, and that means 250,000 new spaces by 2026, Mr. Speaker. We know the Conservatives would like to cut these programs, but on this side of the House, we will fight for Canadians.
The honourable member from Stormont-Dundas, South Glengarry.
The Liberals will make you think you've never had it so good, despite millions of Canadians having to line up at a food bank every month. And we just don't know how many more facts they need to see about how damaging the carbon tax really is. The trucking industry says it adds $4 billion a year. Farmers are going to pay $1 billion more in carbon taxes, and food banks in every part of this country are seeing skyrocketing use. And their own budget documents say it blows a hole of about $35 billion at least in the economy. Again, if they're so confident, call an election and let Canadians decide on the carbon tax for themselves.
The Honourable Minister for the Environment and Climate Change.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Interest rates are down, inflation is down, gas prices are down, and pollution is down, Mr. Speaker. Pollution levels are at their lowest level in 25 years, Mr. Speaker. What we've achieved is the equivalent of removing from our roads solutions for Canadians, for our kids all across the country. We're fighting for climate change. We're fighting for Canadians. We're fighting for a better future for all Canadians, Mr. Speaker.
The honourable member from King Vaughan.
After 9 years of this NDP Liberal government, taxes are up, costs are up, crime is up, time is up. Mr. Speaker, across this country we are seeing seniors line up to get their groceries from food banks, skipping medication and living in tents. Mary, a senior in Maple, showed me her heating bill. She received $44 worth of gas but paid $46 in carbon tax. The NDP leader is keeping the Prime Minister in power so he can secure his pension. Why won't the NDP Liberal government call a carbon tax election and let Canadians decide?
The honourable minister for Labour and for Seniors.
Mr. Speaker, I thought we had heard everything in this House, and then I heard the honourable member. That from the party that has stood up in this House and voted no to every single support that we have brought in for seniors in this country. And that after the Prime Minister for that party, Mr. Harper, went to Davos, to the World Economic Forum, where he took that opportunity to tell Canadian seniors back home the retirement age was going up to 67. Shame on them, Mr. Speaker.